Hello, and welcome to the Argyle CFO Leadership Forum. My name is Nick with Argyle, and it's great to have everyone joining us today. A couple of notes before I turn things over to our panel moderator. First, a quick reminder to stop by our sponsors' virtual booths at any time during today's event and for the following week. Our partner is committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience. At any time during today's event, you can visit their virtual booths from the main agenda page, which include complimentary materials, information, and meet and greet opportunities. For those seeking CPE credit today, you must answer at least 3 polling questions and remain on the session for its duration. Polls can be found under the Polls tab on the right-hand side of your console next to Chat. Afterwards, if you are eligible to receive credit, you will receive an email with a link to your certificates. If you have any questions on credits, please email cpe@argyleforum.com. To ask questions throughout the session, simply type into the Q&A chat, and we will address your questions at the end of the session. Now, without further delay, I would like to introduce our moderator, Ann Anthony, Chief Financial Officer and Board Observer, Oberon Fuels. We're super excited to have Ann and our panelists for a panel discussion titled Evolution of the Modern CFO. Welcome, Ann. Over to you.
Thanks, Nick, and good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a great panel assembled today for this interesting topic of the modern evolution of the CFO. I'm the CFO of Oberon Fuels. We are focused on taking waste and creating renewable energy from it that is low or zero carbon today. Patricia, I'll turn it over to you if you could introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Patricia Tatro. I've been working in finance for over 25 years, supporting both early stage companies as well as Fortune 500 like GE and American Standard. But since 2017, I've focused on more of these fractional CFO roles, working with companies everywhere from very, very early stage looking for investors to well-developed companies ready to plan their exit and looking at M&A strategies. And so in January, I went out and launched Vantage View, and we are an accounting and CFO advisory firm offering such things. And so, yeah, now I get to work with lots of great companies through Vantage View.
Great, thank you. Anastasia, how about you?
Hello, everyone. I'm Anastasia Borisova-Greer, and I work as a North America Finance Director for Pyxis International. And Pyxis is a global agriculture/manufacturing company headquartered in North Carolina. And essentially, I had finance operations for Canada, US, and Guatemala.
Okay. And Francisco.
Hello, how are you? Thank you very much for the invitation to be here. I'm really pleasure for me be part of this panel. My name is Francisco Gutierrez. I have been working in administrative and finance area over 3 decades within automotive industry. Since a couple of years, I am leading a process in my company, and I made digital finance transformation. I work for Metalsa. Metalsa is a Mexican private company with 12 manufacturing facilities located in Mexico, US, South America, and Asia. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce my dive. Looking forward for the discussion ahead. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, everyone. So let's get into it. From your experience, how has the role of the CFO and the finance function evolved over the past couple of years? Please share any real-world examples. Anastasia, how about if we start with you?
Sure, thanks. And so I think in the past 2 years, so we're kind of talking about the post-COVID period, right? And I think from my experience, really, so one of the things that changed for us as finance and for me is learn how to work remote, right? And, during COVID, obviously, since past COVID, we had to learn how to be efficient and effective while staying remote. And I think most importantly is how to defend continuing working remote in front of the rest of the organization, because I work in the manufacturing space, right? factory, like production, they cannot work from home, and some of the salespeople couldn't work from home. So I think like daily I have to defend, right? Okay, we're still efficient and we can continue work like this. And what it gives me is a much wider talent pool, right? Because again, our office is located next to our production facilities, and it's in a rural area, and nobody really wants to go there, including myself. So essentially, I think that opened up a much wider pool and ability to hire much more quality people that are willing to work for the company. And I think at the same time, one of the challenges, and actually have a new person starting from Monday, and like majority of my team, I had to really build from scratch. And I think the challenge with the remote is also, how do you onboard someone? How do you incorporate them in the team, and how you do handover, and working in person, that really it's much easier to evaluate the person's work ethics, evaluate their performance quicker. So that's one of the things that kind of you have to think extra, right? How do you bring this person quickly on board while staying remote without having to go to the office? And I think another thing is, of course, that came to my mind is the rapid development of AI tools. So, and I'd rather say like a lot of hype that's been created around the AI tools, and that's something I'm a big proponent of automation, and I'm constantly working with our IT, but I think I'm still yet to see what other solutions out there, because a lot of the software we're using was developed in-house. So a lot of off-the-shelf solutions, they're at acceptable price. They're not really going to work for organizations. So what is there out there that you don't have to spend like large sums of money that can work for us? And for example, I have a person who will be retiring within a year or so, and his kind of majority of his job is really pressing the buttons, right? Closing the production runs, entering data, doing the postings. And I'm thinking, how can I use AI to replace this person? And so far, again, I haven't been able to find that solution, and that's something that really interests me. And I guess the biggest like achievement for our company in terms of AI so far, in terms of finance AI, is like implementation of automated accounts payable. And we're trying to kind of even widen the scope of that. For example, use some of the information collected during AP, right, for ESG reporting, etc. And so that's something that I would love to hear more, in your companies, guys, the rest of the panelists. What are you doing, like what in terms of using AI tools? And that's something like where you stand in your company from that perspective.
Okay.
I think that.
So Patricia, obviously in your role, you're working with a variety of companies, that run the gamut, again, from very small startups to large companies. So why don't you weigh in here?
Sure, thank you. And some of Anastasia's points hit home a lot. One thing about the remote work, for sure, the ability to get talent across the country or world even is really a wonderful thing for businesses, for accounting and finance. Sometimes it's hard to find the right people to support your teams. It really has been an advantage to be able to pull from everywhere else across the country, but all kinds of roles. You're seeing lots of options. And to answer your question about the AI tools, I'm seeing a ton of that being used in software for initial processes, everything, from accounts payable, accounts receivable, a lot of assistance with metric analysis and trends, just taking away a lot of that head down work, but helping to look up and, really see what's going on in faster time. So I'm seeing tons of that sort of thing. But also, I would say the biggest kind of change, it's more of CFOs are not staying in their lane, so to speak. We're not just doing just traditional analysis of numbers. We're looking more into, not that we weren't doing strategic planning, but more of that and more strategic decision making. It's kind of like taking a more holistic approach to the impact of metrics for a business. So if you see an issue and then you start to work more and collaborate more with different parts of the organization for solution and ideas, to make that better. But again, the mention of AI, understanding technology is a huge asset for CFOs today, and there's going to be more and more push for that, I believe, to be successful, because that comfort with those tools, even if you're not the ones creating it, but understanding how they work and how they can help you, can make a huge difference. Right now, we're seeing a ton of things which items put your energy in is debatable, but I would look at things that are actually solving an issue you have today. Making your life easier today would be a good starting point for that. But yeah, again, with the collaboration, I feel like I'm spending more time working with the sales teams, really understanding the metrics in their sales planning, the forecast, what's driving growth, and also a ton of time on making efficient processes more efficient. Again, sometimes that's AI, sometimes it's other things, but taking the time to see how to help the business run more efficiently and get faster approach, getting the numbers you need and being cost effective at the same time. One more thing to just kind of add to that is I'm seeing, because of a lot of uncertainty and unknown market conditions, I'm spending more time doing what if scenarios. So it's very common to have an ongoing forecast, cash plan, all that ties together. But then you have to do, okay, what if? Sometimes it's worst case scenario, sometimes it's just different levels of growth, or even, reduced revenue and what that might look like. But yeah, I love this topic. There's a lot going on, and I think that we will see more and more, changes for this role as as time goes on.
That's great. Francisco, how about you?
Thank you, Anne. So I would like to focus the answer about in technology, as Patricia and Nastasia commented, that the technology should be an important ally in the process of finance. And I think one of the things that we need to develop is to move to cloud. Moving our information systems to cloud bring us one important advantage, and is avoid obsolescence. And this is very important. One of the pain points that we have in most of the companies is a constant fight with the obsolescence of the system. So if we are able to move to the cloud, the obsolescence of the system is gonna be, we pass over that. On the top of the cloud of the system, we can have some or several emerging technologies, as we commented: artificial intelligence, robotic, blockchains, digital character recognition, among others. There are plenty of that, but we need to be sure that the foundation for that is correct. But on the top of that, we cannot miss, and Patricia and Anastasia recommended, the importance of the people. The people are the one that is able to manage these new tools. Is the people, we do not train the people in these new technologies, we are going to be disappointed about the new technologies. And in this process to train the people, the first is we need to have the people, because that is the problem that we are facing in the business environment, the lack of the people. And if we have the people, we need to train the people in that. I agree, we need to be more strategic with that, the role of the finance. But in order to be more strategic, part of the training that we need to develop with the people is that be able to select true and relevant data in the bunch of data that we're going to have. So the issue is that today we have plenty of data, and how we are going to manage this amount of data to make smart and strategic decision. Another important process is that the activities that I think the finance need to leave the breaking silos. along all the organization. And when I say breaking silos, I would like to mention the example for accounts payable. A typical and limited vision of accounts payable could be get the invoice and release the payment, and that's it. But if you focus that in an end-to-end process, the accounts payable start when you release a purchase order. With this purchase order, you are going to make it the accounting, the tax regulation, etc., and flow the process as much digital and automated as possible, and the accounts payable process finish when you get the payment confirmation with your supplier. That is a focus on end-to-end process. And I can go beyond that in that point if we're talking about payroll, and if we're talking about receivable, etc. So we need to think in an end-to-end process as much as digital as possible. And in order to do that, the CFO needs to have ascendance in the whole organization. So we need the CFO need to have the power per se, but the power is not enough. The power is the right, but the ascendance, the confidence of the whole organization to lead these changes. That is my comment. Thank you.
Okay. So I think thematically there were a couple of things there that we heard, right? Balancing finding the best talent versus where that talent is located. Is it in office or elsewhere, right? And I think that's something that everyone is still trying to manage, particularly since during COVID, we all proved we could work from home and be efficient. I think the second is really technology and how to balance that. And then the third piece, it sounds like to me, is really where does finance fit within the organization? Are we in a nice neat little box, or are we really starting to be part of the organization, right? That strategic partner to the business, because let's face it, right, it all comes home to roost in the numbers that we produce. So our ability to be that strategic partner for the business and drive results, it's the virtual circle, if you will. That's probably a good segue into our next question around what are the new roles and responsibilities that we start seeing the finance teams taking on? Are we getting more work? Are we shedding work? Are things morphing? So Francisco, do you want to lead us off there?
Sorry for that. Yes, sure. Thank you. So there are plenty of that, but I want to focus in my consideration the 2 or 3 more new or that are out of the typical scope for that. As a general matter, I consider that the CFO is the one that is proactively and actively be the one to be sure all the organization takes the adequate actions to assure the business continuity. That as general is my consideration. The top of that, and if we want to go more particular behind the assuring the business continuity, I can consider be aware of globalization and geopolitical risks. We need to be aware of the trade tension, currency fluctuation, regulation across multiple jurisdictions. This is important. What is happening in every country, in every region where we are participating, taking note that we are aware or we are looking for the business continuity. So that means that we need to be aware that geopolitical, we need to consider what is happening in the geopolitical environment. Another important things in line for business continuity is disrupting events. And in disrupting events means natural disaster, pandemics, economic downturn, cybersecurity breaches. So what is happening in that? And the list could be tremendous. And the list that I mentioned is the one that is happening now. We don't know what is going to be the disrupting event fashion in a year or a couple of years from now. The important is that the role of CFO is be aware of the potential risk and be sure that is a contingency plan, scenario analysis that ensure the business continuity. That is the other one. And I want to be aware, result that the contingency plan and scenario analysis, this is important because the contingency plan is the leaves of the action that we are going to do. We are going to activate if scenario A, B, C happen in that sense. Another that I consider is a little new about finance or CFO role is market dynamics. Be aware, have also looking for growth opportunities and mitigate competitive risks or threats. And other one is what is happening in the demographic about the workforce trend. We already commented what is the important, Anastasia commented that the be sure to promote the remote work. This is important. May change region by region, but what the people wants, what the people put value in order to move to one organization to another one. That I consider that as the top or the new one, and I can go with the typical cost reduction, automatization. That is the strategic highlights. For sure that is a part of the role, but the one I commented I consider are the new one that we need to implement. Thank you.
That's great. Patricia, how about you?
Thanks, Anne. Yeah, just to add on to what Francisco is saying, and also even some of the things we talked about in the first question, I really think that we're seeing finance teams, especially with the use of all this modern technology, spending more time looking towards the future than in the past. And what I mean by that is less time, getting numbers calculated for historical. Instead, we're able to get those things a lot faster today, and we can really take a look at what that means in a more predictive way, between the historical numbers, what we're hearing in the market, and we can spend more time doing that, which is a much more strategic, way to run your business. And I know you had talked about being a strategic partner. Finance teams really are trying to be more that strategic partner. CFOs are definitely trying to go in that direction. I see more and more of it from others I know, as well as that client work I do. But in addition to being that strategic partner, we're really trying to provide more valuable insights that really can influence the company's decision making. So it's the role is becoming more critical, and the comments on finding right people, that is definitely important. Unfortunately, this isn't something that everyone's ready for that change. So it's really important that businesses ask, what do I need? What I need from my finance team, and the finance people asking, what else can we do so that we're better prepared for unknown situations and what's coming for the future. We're seeing a little bit more, I think, of just different reporting requirements, things around environmental, social, other governance. I've only had a few pieces of that, but I'm hearing from others that they're spending more time trying to get those processes into their, monthly, quarterly planning. I think technology is going to come up. It may come up in every single question because it's such a big change right now. I know Francisco mentioned things like AI and blockchain, you said something about cloud-based, and Anastasia was talking about AI just from the gate because it's huge. Very exciting what's happening. I can't help but to want to stay up to date on the news of it all and try to figure out what tools would be beneficial. We're going to see more and more of it, but it's going to give us better tools for data analysis and, again, helping to provide more predictive insights the best we can for companies.
Anastasia, how about you?
And I can just, echo on what's been said because, I'm also like, I'm coming from the FP&A background, right? So majority of my kind of work career is in FP&A. So by default, I was very like focused on not necessarily historical performance, but it's more about analysis and being very close to operations. And I'm curious in this way. And what I noticed even within my organization that the other finance, let's say CFOs and stuff in different markets. So there, if you're coming from controller background, so I noticed that these people are more focused on kind of controlling aspects, right? So internal controls, like making sure we're in line with the regulations, blah, blah, blah. So there's not so much kind of, so it's kind of staying within the standard finance, I guess, role. So I myself, I would like to see finance being more involved, and that's been a big push in my current organization. I guess in my previous organization, I mean, I guess finance been always kind of more with the closer to the operations, right, and driving the business processes. And here, that's been a big push from me. And I think what I noticed, that's been like some pushback in the beginning from the other departments, from the I guess the general manager. So there, I guess they were a little bit, there's always a element of apprehension about the finance team. And that's something we had to kind of overcome and also prove, okay, we have a lot of value because we need to be involved kind of in all the decision making, right? So we need to look at every significant business initiative from 360 perspective. And at the same time, we have to ensure that us getting more involved and doesn't create hurdles, right? So it doesn't lengthen the process. So it's just makes it more efficient because you don't want to create more bureaucratic steps, if you will, and lengthen all the processes. So yeah, that's and I guess the role of CFO. If you look about what are the new roles, we're not shedding, I think, in responsibilities, and I wish we would, with the AI, looking towards Francisco, and but I guess that's still yet to be implemented, and we're just gaining more and more, roles and responsibilities.
Mhm. Yeah, I think to sum it up, right, everybody wants their numbers. They want them faster, but it's more about, okay, this is what happened. That's great. Tell me what's going to happen, right? Help me, give me insights. Tell me how I should be thinking about shifting what I'm doing in the business to maximize results. Scenario planning. What about this? What about that? Right? They want it faster, better, cheaper. I think that's clearly what I've seen over the past couple of my roles, and I think everything that we just talked about, really, really supports that. I think it's a good segue, and Anastasia, you started to go this way about, as CFOs, how do we effectively communicate and collaborate with other teams to ensure that financial processes are operating efficiently and ultimately we are seeing the results that we expect to see. Do you want to lead us off with that, and then we can move over to Patricia?
You mean me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think again, it's kind of proving the value that we can make things more efficient, right? Because we're usually and historically we're the holder of all the big data and all the information, right? And information is knowledge, and that's something that we just have to prove. Okay, so we're here, I guess, to help. And again, like I mentioned, not to put like hurdles in the way, but there's always kind of it's always a game when it's always great when you have like a team that's kind of on the same page, but sometimes if you have I guess people kind of tagging the blanket to their own side, so I guess that's kind of creates a challenge, right? And there's always, and I mean when I talk to other CFOs, other finance directors, so there's always kind of this challenge, right, of I guess what power the CFO has in all the decision making, and what power in the ultimate like strategy for the company, or for the for whatever the segment of the company.
Okay. Patricia, how about you?
Yeah, so I feel like we're seeing the communicating and the collaborating with the other teams more and more. And I love that. I think we're going to get better results with anything we're doing when we time that way. So some of the things that I've seen, obviously, especially since the pandemic, we've seen more tools being brought in for communication and collaboration. More, like we're here today talking, on a webinar, definitely more web-based solutions. We all know the tools, the Teams, the Zoom, the Slack, on and on I could go with that sort of thing. But with that is just becoming, especially again with the remote workforce, ways to feel like you're working together. And I've seen more collaboration in remote environments than I used to see, in more of that traditional office. So I think that's a really fun place that we're in, once we have everyone comfortable with how to use that. But more and more companies are embracing it. We're using more of the cloud-based platforms. We're doing the chat messages sometimes over emails, just more of that easy back and forth, rather than crafting a message, more spontaneous, calls working on something. I'm seeing, like, for example, working on budgets and forecasts and projections, different financial modeling, more getting teams together on the phone and showing real life the difference in that scenario of changing a number or two, and being able to look at that together and ponder what that might mean. And, so more of that rather than the finance department coming up with an official thing that's reviewed and someone comes back. We're bringing drafts to the table and opening up more discussion on that sort of thing. I've seen, more and more companies are having regular strategy meetings. They're bringing in different programs to help with that, so that they're focused on the company goals. And that definitely includes your finance team as part of that, so that everyone's in agreement with, profitability goals, revenue, other metrics, and those regular strategy meetings. Typically, I'm seeing once a quarter, but I'm even seeing, a lot of companies implement a weekly check-in on goals and staying in touch. Again, increasing that collaboration, and finance is just joining more and more of those operational strategy meetings as well, and bringing insight and experience. So that's been really fun to see. And just more cross-functional teams. You have people that are doing multiple things throughout the organization. And in the accounting and finance world, I think that that's just so beneficial. I used the term earlier, we are not staying in our lane. I think that, as long as we're doing that, and the company's all on board, everyone's all on board, that can create, I don't know, more people doing this together, you get bigger results. And, what do they say? One plus one isn't always two. It can be bigger than that. But yeah, and then we'll see more, dashboard reporting that's already in place, and, more looking at business objectives and efficiencies. But throughout the finance teams and the CFO roles, I'm seeing, more and more of those sorts of things.
That's great. So I think, as we think about collaboration, right, and trying to work more effectively, I'd love to get your thoughts on what a healthy relationship, right, at the CFO level looks like. What is it, between the CEO and other C-suite executives? What does that kind of relationship look like when it's working well? And conversely, if you feel comfortable sharing, are there things perhaps where, it's kind of that warning sign that it's not going well? Francisco, do you want to start us off?
Yes, and thank you. Well, I think that the role in that case, the role of the CFO are the one that need to be sure that put the lights, the positive lights on the CEO, in order to be sure that the CEO shining. I mean, that is my so we need to be sure that we help him or her to shine, but in a positive way. How we can do that? I think one of the things is that I consider that the finance, the CFO, and all the finance area need to be an example. So we, the finance team, used to be the one that put the fingers where are over costs, where are wasted, where we are not doing well. So we need to be sure that our area, the finance area, is an lean area. That is the one. And how we need to create to be empathic with other areas, but be empathic but do not be part of them. What I mean, so we need to understand what are the people that are working on the shop floor, the operational team, what are the challenges that they have in order to understand, but we need to continue be part of the one that is challenging them. So we need to move out from the office in order to understand what is happening with the market, with the shop floor, with the customers. We need to be sure that we promote a price strategy with the customer, and bring appropriate information to the commercial team in order to implement a price strategy. And when I say that, we need to put information like profitability by customer for instance, for that. So in that way, is that considered be empathic with them. And also, and this is a kind of art, master technique, is we need to be confrontative, but we need to be friendly, because if we are very, very, very hard confrontative, they are not going to invite us in another business decision, or they are going to take us away from the hot topic. So we need to be sure that we confront them, consider our advice. They bring value for our advice in order to they feel comfortable. Okay, the finance team already checked it. I feel comfortable with go with this proposal with the stakeholders, or I can be comfortable with present this case with the board, because the finance teams already review what that they need to consider valuable over operation. And I like the phrase that we need to avoid to seen in the organization as the CFO. No, we need to be sure that we bring value, we propose insight in order to implement positive changes in the organization.
Okay, Patricia, how about you?
Yeah, I feel like having that healthy relationship kind of comes down to some of the basics that you think you need to. We've all learned to do, but it's regular communication. It's being transparent in when you do that. I feel like if you want to have a really healthy relationship, you need to make sure your goals are aligned. And in that, when you're having friend, excuse me, Francisco was mentioning, when you speak to not, you're not going in there to be combative. You're going in there. Sometimes you're having very hard topics you need to discuss, but you're basically doing your job by bringing that information to the table, offering to assist with solutions, any insight you have, and you're doing that on your side, but you're also really listening to what the other, C-suite executives are asking. What are the other people in the management team are saying? And everyone in the company that you're talking to, you're paying attention, because as you bring in that information and you're again transparent in that communication, you're going to be able to bring better solutions to the table. And I think having regular strategy meetings is crucial. Spending time, listening more than you talk, but bringing forward questions as much as answers, and really trying to look at, the different scenarios and how that might work out. So you can really say, hey, these are the problems, here's potential solutions, but let's not forget, we're also looking for, there's a lot of positive things happening, and we want to make sure we're talking about those things together. We are seeing, while we're having some economic uncertainty, we are seeing higher interest rates. So for companies that have cash on hand, are we making smart decisions that where that money is being, used the best way possible for the business? So we're looking at every component, we're bringing solutions, and it's not always a difficult conversation, but we can't shy away from it when it is, because they need us to do that. They need us to say, here's our concerns, here's your risk, and they're going to do a lot. They're going to sleep better at night when they have the facts in front of them, rather than if they don't know, or if we're spending more time talking about yesterday than what's coming. So, but yeah, again, have a good relationship entails communication, and it all comes down to that. And the more we're spending time talking and aligning goals, the better we're going to be.
I think that's probably a recipe for success in any relationship, whether it's, at the C-suite level or just our coworkers or family.
Exactly. So, right.
Yeah, exactly. So it looks like we've gotten some questions from the audience. So let's move there, and happy to continue this conversation. So first question is, do public company CFOs need a broader skill set than private company CFOs, given different reporting requirements like GRE, SEC reporting, sustainability, external shareholders, things like that? So Patricia, do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I don't know if they need every company, whether it's public or private, a different skill set is going to come into play. And so that's not totally answering the question. You have to look at what the requirements are of that company and their needs. And yes, of course, public company has another set of rules that they have to abide by that private companies don't. So, but it could be that there's other tools that, I don't know how to say that. Maybe they need a bigger, tool belt, but at the end of the day, it's about knowing the company, knowing their market, knowing the regulations, and it'll kind of set the path for what you need to learn and what you need to research on tools.
I think as well. I mean, again, I took Opal Fuels public and have worked in a number of public companies. I think it also comes down to having the right partners internally, right? Clearly, your general counsel, right, your legal team is going to have a different skill set. The external legal partners you work with, they'll bring that skill set to the table as well, and can be the experts, if you will, around kind of what the requirements are for the format of various communications. But just having in the back of your mind, right, it needs to be done in this way, and this is the level of disclosure, and this is how we need to get people thinking about it. It's broader than just the CFO. It really becomes a company culture, in my opinion, because in order to do it effectively, right, it literally has to go down to the last employee. It can't just be a finance function thing. Okay, so how do you balance the need for financial efficiency with the importance of investing in innovation and growth opportunities? Anastasia, do you want to start with that one?
I'm not sure I really understand the question. How do you balance the need for financial efficiency with the importance of investing in innovation and growth opportunities? Yeah, sorry, I don't really understand what we need to talk about here.
Okay. Anybody else? Francisco, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. If I understood the question, means that we need to put money on the investment for new technologies, but we need to be sure that we invest smart in these new technologies. And I imagine what should be the discussion when we have with the operational team, that they say, well, I need a new machine, and you are telling me that you need a new software or something like that. So that is the balance that I mean. My recommendation is that we need to be sure that when we start an ERP system implementation or something like that, we need to be sure that we have the commitment for all the organization. And I say that because the ERP implementation is a painful process. It's a painful process, and it's a process that takes time. And during this time, we are going to have contingency in the natural business contingency, like maybe a strike and a blackout, something in the middle. And we need to be sure that the organization is aware of that, and we need to be sure that the ERP implementation move through this crisis, that the crisis is a typical part of the business. And that is one. And the other one is, in the process, we need to be sure that we bring to the people in operation, the commercial team, all the stakeholders that we as a finance have, bring information based in the new ERP or the ERP system that we are implemented. So we need to be sure and that we bring that information, and we need to say that we are able to give this information because we have a smart tool. If not, the ERP strategy is gonna die. I can tell you that in the process for implement ERPs in the company where I work, the highest pressure to abort came inside from the business, inside other areas, because we are competed for the limited resources that the companies have. So we need to be sure that every time that we finish an implementation, we need to say, okay, after the implementation, we are going to be able to bring these 4 or 5 new information that in other words, we are not able to do that. So I can say it's a constant marketing activity.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, so quickly, one more. What are the newer skill sets that CFOs are looking to add to their teams? Anastasia, Patricia, you guys want to take that? I'm going to guess it has something to do with technology.
Yeah, I mean, I can take that one. Yeah, I think, we were looking right now is obviously, like you mentioned, that somebody who is more versed in technology, right? Who is more agile and who's able to quickly learn, right? And surprisingly, that doesn't mean that we're only looking at the people who are younger, right? Who would be your typical, but there's some people who are, I'm trying to balance my team, and there are people kind of, more mature people, professionals who are also very excited and very ready to learn more about about the technology and how we can effectively use it. And I think somebody, not necessary, it's not I guess it's more like a soft skill. So what I'm looking in my team is for people who are curious, right? Who people who are like ready to learn, because there's always like our environment changing every day, right? Not only from technological perspective, but things change in the market, right? So we have to we have to be prepared. So I want my people to be as flexible, I would say, as possible. So that's another, and that's hard one that I guess when you interview someone, when you have new members, that's I guess a hard one to kind of judge from the beginning. So you kind of trial and error, I guess. So that's, I guess, from my perspective, that's kind of the key skills, right? We're learning, we're looking for right now.
Yeah, it's funny. I would echo that, right? I can teach you how to do a thing, but I can't teach curiosity or initiative, right? Those are the skill, and they're very, very hard to gauge. I totally agree with that. Yes. Patricia, Francisco, anything that you want to quickly add here?
I mean, I think that we do. I love that curiosity word. We are going to want to keep bringing in people that are creative thinkers, are curious. They're looking for, hey, what processes can be improved? They've got that type of mindset. AI is taking over a lot of those typical head down type of duties. So what can we do to bring in people and teams that are going to take us kind of to that next level? So that's what I'm seeing.
I can add. I completely concur with Anastasia said about curiosity. I can complain. Be resilient, because the finance team needs is someone that need to always be pursuit something different, and is the day-to-day activity for a finance guy is something that we are not able to reduce the effort. Every day it needs something that we need to resist. They need to be part of the organization, and is part of a lot of constraints in the process. I think finance in the top of that, curiosity is the top. I agree, but be resilient is the other one.
That's a great point. Yes, that's a great point on resiliency. So I think we are just about at the end of our time. Really appreciate everyone today coming together. Appreciate the questions from the folks, in the audience as well. And have a great day.
Great. And thank you all for such an insightful panel discussion. I also want to thank everyone else for joining us today. This session, along with all of today's content, will be available on demand following the event. Our next session will begin after our break at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. which will be a keynote presentation titled Budgeting and Managing Cash Flow for Success. Please click on the join button that will appear on your screen to be redirected to the next session, and we look forward to seeing you there.